In the shadows of history lies a secret so profound, it changes how you view reality. We often think of power as a matter of politics or military might, but ancient Egypt understood a deeper truth. True power is the control of the human mind. This is a deep dive into the architecture of invisible control, a system designed 5 millennia ago to turn a human being into a living god, or more accurately, a programmable machine. Part 1. The psychopathy of the throne. In a game of high stakes, the person with the most identities wins. We call this dissociation in modern psychology, but the high priest of the Nile called it kingship. A pharaoh is born into his position. He is a child, a human with a single soul. But a human soul is fragile. It feels pity, it feels fear, and it can be manipulated by enemies. To protect the throne, the priests had to ensure the pharaoh was not a single person, but a collection of multiple distinct personalities. In clinical terms, we are talking about creating a psychopath by design. If a ruler is nice, he is dead. His brothers, his cousins, and foreign invaders will see kindness as a weakness. Therefore, the priest's job was to fracture the pharaoh's mind, creating alter identities that could be activated at will. Part 2. Mythology. As a programming manual to understand how they did this, we must look at Egyptian mythology, not as a religion, but as a script. Unlike Greek or Chinese myths, which are collections of stories, Egyptian mythology is a rigid framework of 3 primary archetypes: Ra, the virtuous hero, the sun god who gives life but also destroys the serpent of chaos every night. He represents the killer identity that believes it is doing good. Osiris, the passive victim, the king who was tricked, trapped in a tomb, and cut into pieces. He represents the submission identity. Horus, the vengeful child, the son who fights for the throne through brutal challenges. He represents vengeance and ambition. For the common people, these were stories. For the pharaoh, these were instructions. In Egyptian religion, the pharaoh is the literal reincarnation of these 3 gods simultaneously. Part 3. The ritual of trauma. How do you force a mind to split? The answer is systematic trauma. Modern science tells us that when a human experiences extreme horror, the brain checks out to survive. It creates a wall. Behind that wall, a new identity can be formed. The priests used the myths as rituals to induce this trauma. The Ra ritual, the killer's birth every night. Ra must defeat the serpent Apep, or Optus, to ensure the sun rises. The pharaoh would be drugged with powerful psychedelics, substances that dissolve the boundary between what is real and what is imagined. Under this influence, he would be forced to act out the killing of the serpent. Using a knife, a lance, or fire, he would strike down an effigy, or perhaps a real person. By doing this repeatedly, the priest anchored the Ra personality. He was trained to kill without guilt, believing he was saving the universe from darkness. The Osiris ritual. The broken king. Then came the ritual of Osiris. The pharaoh would be tricked into a tomb, just as Osiris was tricked by his brother Set. He would be locked in total darkness, experiencing the terror of being buried alive. He was cut up, symbolically or through non-lethal scarring, to instill the memory of being a victim. This created the passive identity. When the priests needed the pharaoh to be submissive to their will, they would trigger the Osiris state. The Horus ritual, the domination finally, the ritual of Horus. Horus had to fight Set in a series of brutal, degrading challenges. They would be forced into drowning contests, holding their breath under the Nile until their lungs screamed for air. There was also the ritual of sexual domination, a dark method used to shatter the last remnants of the original ego and replace it with a drive for absolute power and vengeance. Part 4. The handler and the trigger. A fractured mind is useless if you cannot control it. This is where the handler comes in. In the myths, Isis is the wife of Osiris who reassembles him and protects Horus. In the real-world ritual, a high priest would wear the mask of Isis. While the pharaoh was being tortured or drugged, the Isis figure would be the only one to offer comfort, food, or sexual release. This created a profound pathological dependence. The pharaoh would trust Isis above his own eyes. Late at night, while the pharaoh slept in a drug-induced haze, The priest in the Isis mask would whisper commands into his ear. This is programming. The olfactory anchors, the secret of smell. The most genius part of this control was the use of scent. Smell is the only sense that goes directly to the brain's emotional center without being filtered. The priest assigned specific scents to each identity. Incense for the virtuous Ra, roses or myrrh for the victim Osiris, cedar or musk for the warrior Horus. Imagine the pharaoh in his throne room, debating whether to go to war or show mercy. If the priest wanted war, they would release the Ra scent. The pharaoh's brain would instantly switch to the virtuous killer identity. He wouldn't know why his mood changed. He would simply believe it was his own thought. Part 5. The Monkey Island Paradox. To understand why this works, we must look at the Monkey Island thought experiment. Imagine a group of people abandoned on an island filled with flesh-eating monkeys. To survive, they must become hyper-vigilant, violent, and unified. When they return to the civilized world, they are no longer normal people. They are an elite trauma-bonded unit. But how do they pass this strength to their children who never saw the monkeys? Through ritual and story. They recreate the terror artificially. They use psychedelics to make the children believe the monkeys are there. This is what civilization is, a series of rituals designed to program the human brain to behave in ways that aren't natural but are necessary for the state. Part 6. The Modern Robot. We like to think we are free, but we are all programmable. We have different alters for different environments. You are a different person at work than you are with your parents. You are a different person when you are angry than when you are in love. The secret of the human brain is that it is a biological computer. If I can control your input, your trauma, and your rewards, I can control your output. Consider a world-class athlete like Lionel Messi. If he lost his memory today, his muscle memory would still allow him to play. His subconscious is programmed. Now, apply that to a darker purpose. If you can program a human to kill using a trigger word like abracadabra while they are under a psychedelic trance, you have created a human robot. Part 7. The speculation of power. Is this all true? We don't have the manual for Pharaoh programming because it would have been the most guarded state secret in human history. But if you look at how power operates today, how media uses fear to trigger specific identities in the public, how scents and sounds are used in marketing to drive behavior, you realize the Egyptian techniques never left us. The priests are still here. The masks have just changed. The pharaoh had to be dissociated to survive the weight of the crown. Today, the system requires us to be dissociated to survive the weight of the modern world. We are all being programmed. The only question is, who is wearing the mask of Isis in your life? Conclusion: doubt everything as you listen to this. Remember, the greatest weapon of the programmer is your belief. If you believe your thoughts are your own, you are easy to lead. Only when you begin to doubt your own reactions, when you ask, is this Ara speaking or is it me? Do you begin to find the exit to the labyrinth? What happened 5,000 years ago in the shadows of the pyramids is happening right now. The control hasn't disappeared. It has simply become invisible.